Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES horizon and stared at the empty space ahead. 3 weeks ago, New Eden Colony had stopped talking. The farming world with 2 million people had gone quiet. No messages, no signals, nothing. "Sir, we're getting close," said Lieutenant Barry Knox from his station. The young officer's voice was tight. Everyone on the ship felt it. Something was very wrong. Jake nodded. He had been a ship captain for 15 years. He had seen pirates, system failures, and natural disasters. But this felt different. This felt like death. "Put it on the main screen," Jake ordered. The view screen flickered. Then it showed New Eden Colony, or what was left of it. Jake felt his heart stop. The green farms were gone. The bright cities were gone. Everything was black and twisted metal. The orbital stations floated like broken toys. Nothing moved. Nothing lived. "My God," whispered Chief Science Officer Lisa Parker. She was standing behind Jake, her face pale. "What happened here?" Jake could not speak. 2 million people had lived on New Eden. Men, women, children, farmers who grew food for a dozen worlds. Now they were all gone. "Launch the survey drones," Jake finally said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. "I want to know what did this." The drones flew down to the dead world. Their cameras showed the truth. The cities had not just been destroyed. They had been burned down to nothing. The ground was glass in some places. In others, it was just empty dirt where buildings used to stand. "Captain," said Lisa. She was looking at her computer screen. Her hands were shaking. "I'm picking up a signal from the main colony data center. It's weak, but it's there. Can you clean it up?" "I think so. Give me a minute." Jake waited. Around him, his crew worked in silence. Everyone knew they were looking at something terrible, something that should not happen to human beings. "Got it," Lisa said. "Sir, you need to see this." The main screen changed. Now it showed the last recording from New Eden Colony. Jake saw families running through the streets. He saw children crying. He saw brave men and women trying to fight back against something in the sky. Then he saw the enemy ships. They were beautiful in a cold way, silver and smooth like water drops. They moved without sound through the sky. From these ships came tall beings with long arms and legs. Their faces looked like white stone. They moved like dancers. But what they did was not beautiful. Jake watched them kill everything that lived. They did it slowly. They did it carefully. They studied the humans as they died. They talked to each other in voices like wind chimes. "We are the Valthrim," said their leader in perfect English. The being spoke to a camera while human bodies lay around its feet. "We have come to clean this contamination from space. Your species spreads like disease. You make chaos where there should be order. You breed without control. You must be removed." The recording showed the Valthrim destroying everything humans had built. But they were not angry, they were not cruel. They were just doing a job, like people cleaning a dirty room. "This world is now pure," said the Valthrim leader at the end. "We will find the other contamination sites. We will clean them all." The recording ended. The bridge was quiet. Jake felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. He had served in the Earth Defense Force for 20 years. He had fought against pirates and rebels, but he had never seen anything like this. The Valthrim had killed 2 million people like they were cleaning bugs from their house. "Sir," said Lieutenant Knox, "what do we do?" Jake looked around at his crew. They were good people. Most of them had never seen war. They signed up to explore space and help colonies. Now they were looking at genocide. "We go home," Jake said. "We tell Earth what happened here, and then we make sure this never happens again." "Captain," said Lisa. She was still staring at her screen. "There's something else. The Valthrim ships left data behind. I'm reading their computer systems." "What do you find?" Lisa was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was very small. "Sir, this isn't their first time. I'm seeing records of other worlds, other species. 17 different races, all destroyed the same way." The cold feeling in Jake's chest grew larger. The Vilethrim were not just killers. They were professional killers. They had done this before. Many times. How long? Jake asked. Thousands of years, sir. They've been doing this for thousands of years. Jake closed his eyes. When he opened them, he was not the same man who had commanded an exploration ship. Now he was a soldier again. Now he was angry. Set course for Earth, he ordered. Maximum speed. Send a message ahead. Tell them what we found. Tell them the human race is at war. As the UES horizon turned toward home, Jake looked one last time at the dead world below. 2 million people had lived here yesterday. Today, they were ash and memory. But the Vilethrim had made one big mistake. They had left witnesses. They had let one ship escape to tell the story. Soon they would learn what happened when you tried to kill all of humanity. Soon they would learn what human anger looked like when it was fully awake. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES horizon and stared at the empty space ahead. 3 weeks ago, New Eden Colony had stopped talking. The farming world with 2 million people had gone quiet. No messages, no signals, nothing. Sir, we're getting close, said Lieutenant Barry Knox from his station. The young officer's voice was tight. Everyone on the ship felt it. Something was very wrong. Jake nodded. He had been a ship captain for 15 years. He had seen pirates, system failures, and natural disasters, but this felt different. This felt like death. Put it on the main screen, Jake ordered. The view screen flickered. Then it showed New Eden Colony, or what was left of it. Jake felt his heart stop. The green farms were gone. The bright cities were gone. Everything was black and twisted metal. The orbital stations floated like broken toys. Nothing moved. Nothing lived. My God, whispered Chief Science Officer Lisa Parker. She was standing behind Jake, her face pale. What happened here? Jake could not speak. 2 million people had lived on New Eden. Men, women, children, farmers who grew food for a dozen worlds. Now they were all gone. Launch the survey drones, Jake finally said. His voice sounded strange to his own ears. I want to know what did this. The drones flew down to the dead world. Their cameras showed the truth. The cities had not just been destroyed. They had been burned down to nothing. The ground was glass in some places. In others, it was just empty dirt where buildings used to stand. Captain, said Lisa. She was looking at her computer screen. Her hands were shaking. I'm picking up a signal from the main colony data center. It's weak, but it's there. Can you clean it up? I think so. Give me a minute. Jake waited. Around him, his crew worked in silence. Everyone knew they were looking at something terrible, something that should not happen to human beings. Got it, Lisa said. Sir, you need to see this. The main screen changed. Now it showed the last recording from New Eden Colony. Jake saw families running through the streets. He saw children crying. He saw brave men and women trying to fight back against something in the sky. Then he saw the enemy ships. They were beautiful in a cold way, silver and smooth like water drops. They moved without sound through the sky. From these ships came tall beings with long arms and legs. Their faces looked like white stone. They moved like dancers. But what they did was not beautiful. Jake watched them kill everything that lived. They did it slowly. They did it carefully. They studied the humans as they died. They talked to each other in voices like wind chimes. We are the Vilethrim, said their leader in perfect English. The being spoke to a camera while human bodies lay around its feet. We have come to clean this contamination from space. Your species spreads like disease. You make chaos where there should be order. You breed without control. You must be removed. The recording showed the Vilethrim destroying everything humans had built. But they were not angry. They were not cruel. They were just doing a job, like people cleaning a dirty room. This world is now pure, said the Vilethrim leader at the end. We will find the other contamination sites. We will clean them all. The recording ended. The bridge was quiet. Jake felt something cold and hard settle in his chest. He had served in the Earth Defense Force for 20 years. He had fought against pirates and rebels, but he had never seen anything like this. The Velthrim had killed 2 million people like they were cleaning bugs from their house. "Sir," said Lieutenant Knox, "what do we do?" Jake looked around at his crew. They were good people. Most of them had never seen war. They signed up to explore space and help colonies. Now they were looking at genocide. "We go home," Jake said. "We tell Earth what happened here, and then we make sure this never happens again." "Captain," said Lisa. She was still staring at her screen. "There's something else. The Velthrim ships left data behind. I'm reading their computer systems." "What do you find?" Lisa was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was very small. "Sir, this isn't their first time. I'm seeing records of other worlds, other species. 17 different races, all destroyed the same way." The cold feeling in Jake's chest grew larger. The Velthrim were not just killers. They were professional killers. They had done this before, many times. "How long?" Jake asked. "Thousands of years, sir. They've been doing this for thousands of years." Jake closed his eyes. When he opened them, he was not the same man who had commanded an exploration ship. Now he was a soldier again. Now he was angry. "Set course for Earth," he ordered. "Maximum speed. Send a message ahead. Tell them what we found. Tell them the human race is at war." As the UES horizon turned toward home, Jake looked one last time at the dead world below. 2 million people had lived here yesterday. Today they were ash and memory. But the Velthrim had made one big mistake. They had left witnesses. They had let one ship escape to tell the story. Soon they would learn what happened when you tried to kill all of humanity. Soon they would learn what human anger looked like when it was fully awake. Dr. Alex Chen had not slept in 3 days. He sat in his lab deep under the Pentagon, staring at pieces of Velthrim technology. The alien metal was smooth and cold. It felt wrong under his hands, like touching something dead. "Any luck?" asked Admiral Kate Sullivan. She stood in the doorway of the lab, still wearing her dress uniform from the emergency meetings. Alex rubbed his tired eyes. "Some. The bad news is that their technology is very advanced. The good news is that they're not as smart as they think they are." He picked up a piece of curved metal. It had come from one of the Velthrim ships that crashed on New Eden. They build everything to be perfect. Every ship is exactly the same. Every weapon works exactly the same way. No changes, no improvements. They've been using the same designs for thousands of years. That's good for us? Very good. It means they don't adapt. They don't learn from fights. They just do the same thing over and over. Alex set the metal down. "Kate, I found something else, something worse." Admiral Sullivan stepped into the lab. "Show me." Alex turned to his computer screen. It showed a long list of names. "I broke into their data systems. These are records of every species they've killed. 17 different races, all wiped out completely." The Admiral looked at the list. Each name represented millions or billions of dead beings. "How long have they been doing this?" "At least 5,000 years. Maybe longer." Alex pointed to the dates. "They're very organized about it. They study each species first. They learn about their culture, their technology, their weaknesses. Then they attack all at once, hitting every world the species lives on." "What about survivors?" "They hunt them down. Every last one." Alex's voice was bitter. "The Velthrim call it cleaning. They think they're making the galaxy better by removing what they call chaotic species." Admiral Sullivan was quiet for a moment. Then she asked, "What makes a species chaotic in their eyes?" "Any species that doesn't think like them. Any species that changes or grows or adapts." Alex pulled up another file. "Look at this. The Rokari were traders. They traveled between worlds, mixing cultures together. The Velthrim killed them all because they spread disorder. The Zenth were artists. They created new forms of music and poetry. The Velthrim killed them because they introduced unnecessary variables." The Admiral clenched her fists. Killed entire civilizations because they were different. Yes. And now they're coming for us. Kate Sullivan had been a military officer for 30 years. She had commanded ships in 3 different wars. But this was not like fighting pirates or rebels. This was about the survival of every human being alive. How long do we have, she asked. Hard to say. But based on their patterns, they'll hit us again soon. And not just one world this time, they'll try to end us completely. Meanwhile, on the other side of the galaxy, Colonel Maya Rodriguez was leading a search and rescue mission on New Eden. Most of the planet was dead, but her scanners had found signs of life underground. There, said Sergeant Pete Wilson, pointing to a hill that looked like all the others. My scanner shows a bunker down there. Maya nodded to her team. They had been searching for 3 days, finding only bodies and ruins. If there were survivors, they had to find them fast. The air on New Eden was still poisonous from the Valthrim weapons. They dug down through rubble and twisted metal. Finally, they found a heavy door marked with human writing. Emergency Shelter 7. Maya knocked on the door. This is Colonel Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force. If anyone is in there, we're here to help. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the door opened slowly. A dirty, scared face looked out. It was a woman, maybe 40 years old. Behind her were more faces. Men, women, children. Are you real? The woman whispered. Are you really from Earth? Yes, Maya said gently. We're here to take you home. The survivors came out slowly. There were 23 of them, all that was left of New Eden's 2 million people. They had been hiding underground for 3 weeks, eating emergency food and breathing recycled air. Among them was a boy named Danny Williams. He was 10 years old. His parents had died protecting the shelter from Valthrim soldiers. Now he stared at Maya with eyes that were too old for his face. They took their time, Danny said in a small voice. The tall ones. They didn't just shoot people. They watched them die. They studied us like we were bugs. Maya knelt down next to the boy. Can you tell me what they said? Danny nodded. They said humans were contamination. They said we made too many babies and built too many cities. They said the galaxy would be better without us. Did they say anything else? Yes. Danny looked up at Maya. They said they would find all the human worlds. They said they would clean all of us. That night, Maya sent her report back to Earth. The message was simple. The Valthrim were not done. New Eden was just the beginning. On Earth, President Helen Davis called an emergency meeting of the United Nations. Leaders from every nation came to New York. They had all seen the recordings from New Eden. They all knew what was coming. We need to decide how humanity will respond, President Davis said. Some of you want to try talking to these Valthrim. Some want to hide and hope they don't find us. I'm here to tell you that neither of those will work. The president turned on a large screen. It showed the dead cities of New Eden. They don't want to talk. They don't want our surrender. They want us extinct. All of us. The room was quiet. Finally, the British Prime Minister spoke. What do you suggest? War, President Davis said simply. Total war. We build the biggest fleet humanity has ever seen. We find these Valthrim before they find us, and we make sure they never hurt anyone again. Some leaders objected. War was expensive, war was dangerous, maybe they could hide, maybe they could run. But Admiral Sullivan stood up. She had been quiet during most of the meeting. Now she spoke with a voice like steel. Ladies and gentlemen, I've spent my whole career fighting human enemies. Pirates, rebels, terrorists. They all wanted something. Money, power, territory. We could sometimes make deals with them. She gestured to the screen showing New Eden. The Valthrim don't want anything from us except our death. They've killed 17 other species completely. They've been doing it for thousands of years. They will not stop. They will not negotiate. They will not show mercy. The Admiral looked around the room. The only choice we have is this. Do we die on our knees or do we die fighting? Because dying is not optional. The Valthrim have already decided that. The vote was close, but war won. Within hours, every shipyard on Earth and Luna began retooling for military production. The exploration ships would become warships. The cargo haulers would become troop transports. The mining stations would make weapons and ammunition. Humanity was going to war, not for territory or resources, but for the right to exist. And across the galaxy, in their perfect crystal cities, the Velthrim did not know that they had awakened something they did not understand. They had studied human farming and human art, but they had never bothered to study human warfare. That was their first mistake. It would also be their last. 6 months after New Eden died, the Velthrim came back. This time they attacked Harmony Station, a busy trading post that orbited Jupiter. Commander Steve Johnson was drinking coffee in his office when the alarms started screaming. "Sir, we have multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace," reported his communications officer. 27 ships, they matched the design we saw at New Eden. Steve set down his coffee cup. His hands were steady, but his heart was racing. "Sound general quarters. Get everyone to the shelters. Send a distress call to Earth." "Sir, the distress call is already sent. Earth Command says help is coming." Steve looked out his office window at the silver Velthrim ships. They moved like hunting cats, smooth and deadly. In 6 months, humanity had built many new warships, but Steve only had 2 patrol boats to protect Harmony Station. It would not be enough. "This is Seraph Prime Kithra of the Velthrim Cleansing Fleet," came a voice over the radio. It sounded like wind through crystal. "Humans of this contaminated station, you will be processed for removal. Do not resist. It will only cause you additional suffering." Steve picked up the microphone. "This is Commander Johnson of Harmony Station. You are not welcome here. Leave now, or face the consequences." The Velthrim leader laughed. It was a sound, like breaking glass. "You threaten us with consequences? Your species builds crude metal boxes and calls them weapons. You will be cleansed like all the others." The Velthrim ships opened fire. Their weapons were beams of silver light that cut through metal like paper. Steve's 2 patrol boats lasted less than 5 minutes. Now it was just the station against 27 alien warships. But Steve Johnson had been a soldier before he became a station commander. He had fought in the Titan Wars. He knew how to make a fight cost the enemy even when losing. "All sections, this is the commander," he announced over the station's speakers. "We're going to die today, but we're going to make it expensive. Every gun, every missile, every tool that can be used as a weapon. Make them pay for every meter." The station's defense guns opened fire. They were not military weapons, just tools meant to clear space debris. But in the hands of angry humans, they became deadly. 3 Velthrim ships took damage before they destroyed the gun positions. Then the real fight began. Velthrim soldiers in flowing white armor came aboard the station. They expected to find scared civilians running in panic. Instead, they found humans with improvised weapons waiting in ambush. Steve led the defense of the command center. He had a rifle and 12 other people, mostly engineers and technicians. They held the Velthrim soldiers for 2 hours, making them fight for every room. But there were too many aliens and not enough humans. One by one, Steve's people fell. Finally, it was just him, backed into a corner with no ammunition left. "Why? Do you resist?" asked the Velthrim soldier, pointing a weapon at him. "Your death is inevitable. Your species is contamination. We are making the galaxy pure." Steve spat blood and smiled. "Because that's what humans do. We fight, even when we can't win." The Velthrim soldier pulled the trigger, but the beam never reached Steve Johnson. Instead, it hit a barrier of blue energy that appeared from nowhere. The soldier turned, confused, just as the wall behind him exploded. Through the hole came human soldiers in black armor, moving fast and shooting accurately. Their leader was Captain Amy Foster of the UES Vengeance. She put 3 shots into the Velthrim soldier before it could react. "Commander Johnson, you are relieved," she said, helping Steve to his feet. "We'll take it from here. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations." The UES Vengeance was humanity's first real warship, built specifically to fight the Velthrim. It was not the biggest ship or the most heavily armed, but it was designed by humans who understood war. The Velthrim had studied human farming and human art. They had learned about human culture and human weaknesses, but they had never bothered to study human military history. They did not know about Cannae or Stalingrad or Gettysburg. They did not understand that humans had been perfecting the art of killing each other for thousands of years. Captain Foster's ship hit the Velthrim fleet like a hammer hitting glass. The alien ships were faster and their weapons were more advanced, but they fought like they always fought, in perfect formation with predictable tactics. The Vengeance fought like a human ship. It used tricks and deception. It attacked from unexpected angles. When the Velthrim ships tried to surround it, the Vengeance used their own formation against them, making them shoot each other. One by one, the beautiful silver ships became clouds of debris. "Impossible," whispered Seraph Prime Cathara as her flagship's engines failed. "We have cleansed 17 species. We are perfect. We cannot be defeated by contamination." Captain Foster's voice came over the radio, cold and hard. "Lady, you just learned the first rule of fighting humans. We don't fight fair and we don't give up." The Velthrim flagship tried to run, but the Vengeance was faster. Foster's boarding parties took the ship intact, along with its commander and crew. For the first time in their species' history, the Velthrim had not just lost a battle. They had been completely defeated. Worse, their leader had been captured, alive. Dr. Rachel Kim arrived on Harmony Station 3 days later. She was a xenopsychologist, an expert in how alien minds worked. Her job was to question the captured Velthrim commander. Seraph Prime Cathara was beautiful in the way that a statue was beautiful. Cold, perfect, lifeless. She sat in her cell, like a piece of art, not moving, barely breathing. "Why?" Rachel asked. "Why do you kill entire species?" "We maintain order," the Velthrim replied. Her voice had no emotion. "The galaxy was chaotic before we began our work. Species spread without purpose. They changed things without permission. They created disorder. So you decided to kill them all?" "We decided to clean them, to remove contamination, to make space pure again." Rachel leaned forward. "What makes you think you have the right to decide who lives and who dies?" For the first time, the Velthrim showed emotion. Her perfect features twisted with something like disgust. "We are old. We are pure. We do not change or grow or spread like viruses. We maintain what should be maintained." "And humans?" "Humans are the worst contamination we have found." The alien's voice was full of hate now. "You reproduce without control. You adapt without permission. You change everything you touch. You make chaos from order." Rachel was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled, and it was not a kind smile. "You're afraid of us." "We do not feel fear." "Yes, you do. You're terrified of humanity because we represent everything you're not. You've spent thousands of years making the galaxy static and dead. We make it alive and growing. We're everything you wish you could be, but can't." The Velthrim commander said nothing, but Rachel could see the truth in her alien eyes. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Sam Harris was leading a covert mission deep into Velthrim space, using captured alien ships and technology. His team had slipped past enemy defenses to scout their territory. What they found changed everything. "My God," whispered his science officer, looking at the scanner readings. "There are dozens of them." Sam stared at the display. It showed system after system full of Velthrim worlds. Perfect, clean, empty worlds where nothing ever changed. But it also showed something else. Hidden bases, secret shipyards, refugee camps. "Sir," said his communications officer, "I'm picking up a transmission. It's not Velthrim." The message came through in broken English. "Human ships, this is the Skarathi resistance. We have been fighting the cleaners for 300 years. We thought we were alone. Are there others who still fight?" Sam looked at his crew. Then he opened a channel to reply. "Skarathi resistance, this is Lieutenant Commander Harris of the Earth Defense Force. You are not alone anymore. Humanity is at war with the Velthrim. We're looking for allies." The reply came back immediately, full of hope and desperation. We are sending coordinates. Come quickly. There are others. Many others. The galaxy is not as dead as the cleaners. Think. As Sam's ship changed course toward the Skarathi hideout, he smiled grimly. The Valthram had made another mistake. They had left survivors. They had let some of their victims escape and hide and grow strong in the darkness between stars. Now, those survivors had found each other. Now they had hope. The galaxy was about to discover that humans were not just good at making war. They were also very good at making friends, and together, they were going to make the Valthram pay for every world they had burned, every species they had destroyed, every life they had taken in the name of their twisted idea of purity. The Skarathi homeworld had been dead for 300 years. The Valthram had burned it to glass and ash, just like they had done to New Eden. But the Skarathi were harder to kill than most species. Some had escaped to hidden bases scattered across the galaxy. Captain Ben Taylor stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, looking at the secret Skarathi base on the asteroid Skorhai. The reptilian aliens had built their hideout inside a mountain of rock and ice. For 3 centuries, they had lived here in the dark, nursing their hatred and planning revenge. "It's not much to look at," said his first officer, Lieutenant Jennifer Hayes. "But our scanners show almost 1 million Skarathi living in there." Ben nodded. The base was crude compared to human or Valthram technology. The Skarathi had built it with salvaged parts and determination. But it was home to the largest group of genocide survivors ever found. "Captain," called his communications officer, "the Skarathi leader wants to speak with you." The main screen flickered, showing a 7-foot-tall reptile with golden scales and intelligent eyes. This was war leader Sisek, one of the last Skarathi military commanders. "Human captain," Sisek said in careful English. "We welcome your fleet to our hidden sanctuary. It has been 300 years since we had allies in our war against the cleaners." "War leader," Ben replied, "we're honored to fight alongside you. How many other species are out there still hiding?" "Many more than the cleaners know. The Zenth maintain art colonies in the nebulae. The Rokari traders still move between hidden bases. The machine people called Nexus keep their consciousness stored in protected data cores. We all wait for the chance to strike back." Ben smiled grimly. "Well, that chance just arrived. Earth has built the largest battle fleet in human history. We're not here to hide. We're here to end this war." But even as they spoke, Valthram ships were moving through hyperspace toward Skorhai. The aliens had detected the human fleet's energy signatures. A consortium task force of 50 warships was closing in fast. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Hayes, "long-range sensors show incoming enemy ships, 50 contacts, all heavy cruisers." The Skarathi base went to full alert. Alarms howled through the tunnels as 1 million reptilian civilians prepared for battle or death. They had lived in hiding for 300 years, but they remembered how to fight. "War leader," Ben said over the radio, "get your people to the deep shelters. My fleet will handle the space battle." "No, human friend," Sisek replied. "We fight together or we die together. The Skarathi remember how to kill cleaners." What followed was the largest battle yet fought between humanity and the Valthram. The enemy ships came out of hyperspace in perfect formation, their silver hulls gleaming like deadly art. They expected to find a handful of primitive survivors hiding in the asteroid. Instead, they found Captain Ben Taylor and the 3rd Human Expeditionary Fleet waiting for them. The human ships did not look like art. They looked like weapons, dark gray hulls covered with armor plates and gun turrets. Ships built by a species that had learned warfare in the hard school of Earth's endless conflicts. "Valthram Fleet," Ben broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Captain Taylor of the Earth Defense Force. You have 30 seconds to surrender or be destroyed." The reply came from Seraph Commander Vithala, leader of the enemy fleet. "Contaminated humans, you protect lesser contamination. You will all be cleansed together." "Wrong answer," Ben said quietly. Then louder, "All ships, weapons free. Show them what happens when you mess with Earth." The battle that followed became known as the Awakening of Skorhai. Human ships, designed with input from 17 different alien species, tore into the Valthram formation like sharks among goldfish. The UES Retribution led the charge, its new plasma cannons burning through Velthrim shields like paper. Behind it came the UES Defiance and the UES Unbroken, their missile swarms turning 3 enemy ships into expanding balls of fire. But the real surprise came from the asteroid base itself. Hidden weapons platforms emerged from the rock, firing salvaged Velthrim weapons back at their creators. Skarathi fighters, crude but deadly, swarmed around the enemy ships like angry wasps. General Carol Martinez commanded the ground assault when Velthrim troops tried to board the base. Her Marines had trained for 6 months with Skarathi warriors, learning how to fight alongside aliens who were very different from humans. "Remember," she told her troops over the radio, "the Skarathi are our friends. They've been fighting this war for 300 years. Trust them, work with them, and we'll all go home alive." The boarding battle was fierce but short. Velthrim soldiers were trained to fight panicking civilians, not human Marines and Skarathi warriors working together. The aliens found themselves trapped in narrow tunnels where their advanced weapons meant nothing against human determination and reptilian fury. Master Sergeant Kevin O'Brien led a mixed unit of humans and Skarathi through the base's main corridor. The aliens moved like dancers, but his people moved like soldiers. When the Velthrim tried their usual tactics, they found enemies who adapted faster than they could respond. "The cleaners rely on fear," growled war leader Susek as he crushed a Velthrim soldier's weapon with his bare claws. "But we have been afraid for 300 years. Now we are only angry." Young Danny Williams was there too. The boy from New Eden had grown up in the past year, trained by human military instructors and alien survivors. He was 16 now, old enough to carry a rifle and remember what the Velthrim had done to his parents. "This is for New Eden," he whispered as he put 3 shots into a Velthrim commander. "This is for my mom and dad." The space battle ended when Captain Ben Taylor's flagship rammed the Velthrim command ship. The UES Retribution was built tough, designed to survive collisions with asteroids and debris. The elegant alien ship crumpled like tinfoil. Seraph Commander Vaithala found herself trapped in her ruined bridge, staring at human Marines who had boarded her ship. "Impossible," she whispered. "We are the cleaners. We are perfect. We cannot lose to contamination." "Lady," said Sergeant O'Brien, "you just learned something important about humans. We don't fight to be perfect. We fight to protect what we love." Back on Earth, the industrial transformation was complete. Dr. Nathan Brooks stood in the shipyard where the first Terra-class dreadnought was taking shape. The massive ship was 3 kilometers long, armed with weapons that could crack planets, and protected by shields that had never been tested in battle. "How many more can we build?" asked Admiral Sullivan, who had come to inspect the work. "As many as we need," Nathan replied. "The whole system is working now. Earth, Luna, Mars, the asteroid belt. Every factory, every shipyard, every resource, extraction facility, all building for the war effort." The Admiral nodded. In 1 year, humanity had transformed from a peaceful trading confederation into the most powerful military force in the galaxy. It was not just the ships and weapons, it was the attitude. "Any word from the alien allies?" she asked. "Good news. There too. The Skarathi have opened their hidden archives to us. 300 years of intelligence on Velthrim tactics and technology. The Zenth are sharing their stealth technology. The Rokari know every trade route and hidden base in the galaxy. And the machine people?" Nathan smiled. "The Nexus are the best gift of all. They're computer intelligences, but they think like living beings. They're helping us design new tactics, new strategies, ways to fight that the Velthrim have never seen." Meanwhile, in the training centers on Luna, Master Sergeant O'Brien was working with the first integrated human-alien marine units. Humans, Skarathi, Zenth, and others learning to fight as one force. It was not easy. The species were very different. Humans were aggressive and adaptable. Skarathi were patient and thorough. Zenth were creative and unpredictable. But they all shared one thing. They all had been hurt by the Velthrim. Danny Williams was part of the training program. He was one of the youngest humans there, but he had seen more of war than most adults. The alien soldiers respected him not because he was human, but because he understood what they had lost. "Tell me about Earth," asked a young Skarathi warrior during a break in training. "What is it like to have a world that is still alive?" Danny thought about green fields and blue skies, about cities full of people and children playing in parks. "It's worth fighting for," he said simply. "It's worth dying for." The Skarathi nodded. "Yes, all worlds should be allowed to live." As the training continued, something new was being born. Not just an army, but a family. Species that had been scattered and hunted were coming together, learning to trust each other, learning to fight for something bigger than revenge. They were learning to fight for the right of all living things to exist and grow and change, and across the galaxy, in their perfect crystal cities, the Velthrim were beginning to understand that they had made a terrible mistake. They had thought humans were just another species to be cleansed. They had not realized that humans were the species that brought others together. They had not realized that humans were the ones who turned survivors into family, and family into an army that could not be stopped. The sleeping giant was fully awake now, and it was very, very angry. Purity Prime hung in space like a perfect jewel. The capital world of the Velthrim Consortium had never known war. For 5,000 years it had been the center of their empire of death, beautiful and untouchable. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood on the bridge of the UES Terra's Wrath and stared at the enemy homeworld. Around her, the largest battle fleet in human history prepared for the final assault. 300 human warships, supported by vessels from 27 different alien species. All of them survivors of Velthrim genocide. All of them ready for revenge. "Admiral," reported Captain Ryan Cole from the UES Liberator. "All fleets report ready for attack. The Skarathi are in position on the left flank. The Zenth stealth ships are moving into the inner system. The Nexus battle computers have analyzed the enemy defenses." Kate nodded. She had been preparing for this battle for 2 years. Every strategy, every weapon, every ship had been designed for this one moment. The moment when humanity and its allies would end the Velthrim threat forever. "Open a channel to all ships," she ordered. "This is Admiral Sullivan to all vessels of the Liberation Fleet. Today we fight not just for ourselves but for every species the Velthrim have murdered. Today we make sure this never happens again." She paused, thinking of New Eden, of the 2 million dead colonists, of 17 extinct civilizations. The Velthrim wanted to meet humanity. Today they get their wish. "All ships, attack." The battle began with the Consortium's orbital fortresses opening fire. Massive energy weapons that could shatter moons reached out across space toward the Yao approaching fleet. But the human ships did not try to avoid them. Instead, they flew straight through the deadly beams, their new shields holding against the onslaught. The Velthrim had never seen anything like it. Their perfect weapons, which had destroyed countless fleets over the millennia, barely scratched the human armor. "How is this possible?" demanded Arch-Seraph Kiritalan from his command center on the planet's surface. "Our weapons are perfect. Our defenses are impenetrable." His tactical officer, a younger Velthrim named Vaithmar, studied the displays with growing fear. "Excellency, the contaminated species appear to have adapted our own technology. They are using our weapons against us, but modified with their chaotic engineering." "Impossible. Our technology cannot be improved. It is already perfect." But even as he spoke, the first human ships reached Purity Prime's moon. Captain Ben Taylor led the assault on the massive fortress built into the lunar surface. The UES Retribution had been damaged in previous battles, but it still carried enough firepower to level a city. "This is for the Skarathi homeworld," Ben said quietly as his ship's main guns fired. "This is for every world you burned." The lunar fortress, which had defended Purity Prime for 1,000 years, cracked open like an egg. Debris rained down on the perfect city below, the first violence the capital had ever known. Meanwhile, Captain Amy Foster commanded the UES Vengeance in the main fleet action. The space around Purity Prime was filled with Velthrim ships, sleek and beautiful as always, but beauty meant nothing against human fury. "Target their command ships first," Amy ordered. "Cut off their communications, make them fight blind." The human fleet moved like a pack of wolves, coordinated but flexible. Where the Veilthrim ships fought in perfect formation, the humans adapted to every situation. When the aliens tried to surround them, the humans broke apart and reformed. When the Veilthrim concentrated their fire, the humans scattered and regrouped. General Carol Martinez led the ground assault on Purity Prime itself. Her ships landed in the perfect parks and crystal gardens of the capital city. Human marines and alien warriors poured out, bringing war to a world that had never known violence. "Remember," she told her troops over the radio, "the civilian population is not our enemy. We're here to stop the consortium's leaders, not to become like them." But the Veilthrim civilians had never seen war up close. They ran in panic through their perfect streets, unable to understand what was happening. Their world had been orderly and clean for so long that chaos terrified them more than death. Master Sergeant Kevin O'Brien led his mixed unit of humans and Skarathi through the government district. The buildings were works of art, but they made poor fortresses. Veilthrim guards with energy weapons found themselves outfought by soldiers who had learned warfare the hard way. "The cleaners never learned to adapt," observed war leader Sek, as he crushed a barricade with his bare claws. "They have used the same tactics for 5,000 years. Danny Williams was there too. No longer the scared child from New Eden, but a seasoned Marine who had fought in a dozen battles. He carried a rifle taken from Veilthrim forces, modified by human engineers to be twice as powerful as the original. "This is for my parents," he said as he led his squad through the crystal halls of the consortium's high command. "This is for everyone they killed." The final battle took place in the Arch-Seraph's throne room, a vast chamber made of living crystal that rose from the planet's core to the surface. Kirthalan stood at the center, surrounded by his remaining guards, still beautiful and perfect in his flowing robes. "You bring contamination to our sacred world," he said as human soldiers surrounded him. "You spread chaos where there should be order." Admiral Sullivan walked into the throne room, her boots echoing on the crystal floor. She had left her flagship to witness this moment personally. "We bring justice," she replied. "Justice for New Eden, justice for the Skarathi, justice for 17 extinct species and billions of dead innocents." "We made the galaxy pure," the Arch-Seraph insisted. "We removed the contamination that would have spread disorder throughout space." "You committed genocide," Admiral Sullivan said simply. "You murdered entire civilizations because they were different from you. That ends now." The Arch-Seraph raised his weapon, a crystal rod that could disintegrate matter at the molecular level. But before he could fire, Danny Williams put 3 shots into his chest. The young Marine's face was calm as the alien leader fell. "Now it's over," Danny said quietly. But the real victory was not military. Dr. Lisa Parker had spent months preparing for this moment. As the battle raged, her teams were broadcasting evidence of the consortium's crimes to every world in their empire. The broadcasts showed the truth. The pure species that lived under Veilthrim protection learned for the first time about the genocides committed in their name. They saw the records of 17 extinct civilizations. They saw the cold efficiency with which entire species had been erased. The reaction was immediate and devastating. Across the consortium's territory, the subject species rose in revolt. The perfect order the Veilthrim had maintained for millennia collapsed in a matter of hours. "This is Commander Sarah Mitchell of the UES Freedom," came a voice over the radio. "We're receiving surrender requests from 47 consortium worlds. They want protection from their own government." Admiral Sullivan nodded grimly. "Granted. Send relief fleets to every world that asks for help. The consortium is finished." In the ruins of the throne room, Captain Ryan Cole found something that made him call for Dr. Parker immediately. Hidden beneath the crystal floor was a vast computer system containing the complete records of the Veilthrim's 5,000-year campaign of genocide. "My God," Lisa whispered as she studied the data. "They kept records of everything. Every species they killed, every world they burned, every survivor they hunted down. It's all here." The records showed the true scope of the horror. Hundreds of species had been wiped out completely. Thousands of worlds had been sterilized. The galaxy had once been full of diverse life, but the Velthrim had systematically reduced it to a handful of pure civilizations living in sterile perfection. But the records also showed something else. Hidden bases, forgotten colonies, small groups of survivors scattered throughout space. The Velthrim had not been as thorough as they thought. "There are more survivors out there," Lisa reported to Admiral Sullivan. "Dozens of species thought extinct, maybe hundreds." Over the following months, human ships spread across the galaxy, following the coordinates in the Velthrim records. They found Zenth artists hiding in nebulae, preserving their culture in songs and poetry. They found Rokari traders maintaining secret routes between hidden bases. They found machine intelligences that had transferred their consciousness to protected data cores, waiting for the day they could rebuild their physical forms. Each discovery was a small miracle. Each rescued survivor was proof that the Velthrim had failed in their grand plan to make the galaxy pure. Danny Williams volunteered for the rescue missions. The young man who had lost everything on New Eden now dedicated his life to finding others who had survived genocide. He established the Memorial Foundation, an organization that helped survivors rebuild their lives and remember their dead. On the first anniversary of Purity Prime's fall, Danny stood in the crystal ruins of the Arch-Seraph's throne room. With him were representatives of 43 different species, all survivors of the Consortium's campaigns of extermination. "We gather here not to celebrate victory," Danny said, "but to remember those who died. 2 million humans on New Eden, billions of Skarathi on their homeworld, countless others across 17 extinct civilizations." He placed a simple stone monument in the center of the crystal chamber. It was made from rock taken from New Eden, carved with the names of every spio